Welcome to the Dice Tower, a series of video reviews about board and card games. Here are your hosts, Tom Vasel and Sam Healey.
Hey folks, I'm Tom Vasel.
I'm Sam Healey, hello.
Today we're taking a look at Raiders of the North Sea. This was a very successful Kickstarter game about Vikings. I don't think they're real Vikings because the guy has horns on his helmet in the front. We know that, okay? We know that automatically. Because every time we talk about Vikings, people say that the Vikings didn't have horns in their head.
Well, this dude doesn't. Neither does that guy.
Yeah.
Maybe he's a mercenary.
These guys look pretty
They're menacing.
fierce. So anyhow, is the game fierce? I mean, there's a lot of Viking games out these days. Let's check on this one. The board in this game, as you can see, is a longer board, and on this board are several spots, and on these spots are different loot tokens. You're going to have gold and iron ore, and you also have cattle, and then there's Valkyries. These aren't loot tokens, they're enemies that you will fight. And down here is the village, and you'll also notice that there's workers on the board. There's black workers, gray workers, and white workers, or Vikings, I'm sorry. Each player is going to start with one black Viking in their hand, and on your turn, you're either going to go to town or you're going to invade one of these areas. Now, no matter what you do on your turn, you will be placing your guy that you have on the board, and then you'll be picking up another one from the board. So if you go to town, you'll place this on one spot, you'll take the action of that spot, you will then pick up a worker, not the one you put down, a different one, from that spot, and you will also take the action of that spot. So you get two actions on your turn. So the actions here are pretty simple. When you go to the gatehouse, you will draw two cards. If you do the town hall action, many of the cards on the bottom of them have actions like this one here. Use any building's actions as if your worker were there. All players must give you a silver or one provision. Take any plunder from an opponent. So if you go here, you'll play a card, discard the card for the action. If you play the barracks, go to the barracks action, you will place one of these guys in front of you and they become a crew. You have a maximum of 5 crew, although you can replace crew. Each crew has a cost when you place them. That's how many coins you need to silver to discard. They have a strength, which they'll be using when attacking places, and they also have a special ability. So this guy here, when you go to the gatehouse, you will draw an extra card. Some of the characters in here have the same names, but there's no problems. You can have multiple people, and then their abilities will double. Others are heroes, which usually have a pretty good special ability, but also you can only have one hero in your crew in front of you. Other spots down here, you can go to the mill. Depending on what color worker you place there, you'll get provisions or gold. Silversmith, depending what color you put there, you will get coins. If you go here to the armory, here only a white or a gray worker can go there. Black workers can't go to this one. You can turn in an ore to increase your armor on this thing twice, or you can pay 2 silver coins to put your armor up once. If you go to the treasury, you can discard a card from your hand to get 2 coins, or discard 2 cards to take a gold. And if you go over to the longhouse, which if you notice is another place where only a white or gray worker can go, you can turn the cattle into 2 provisions, or you can do an offering. Basically, you pay everything on these tiles, like 4 coins or 2 cattle and a gold, and then you will take this token in front of you, and this is worth points at the end of the game, and then a new one replaces that. When you go and attack a spot, first you will pick which spot. So let's say I'm going to attack this harbor. You see if there's an open spot for you, so black or gray Vikings can attack here, so I put one here. You must have this many provisions that you discard, so I need to have 1 provision, and you need to have this many crew in front of you, so I need to have 3 crew in front of me. You then will get the reward. Here it's 1 point. You'll pick one of these areas. So let's say I pick this first one here, and I'll get all the stuff there, and you also get whatever worker is there. In this case, it's a gray worker. If you pick an area that has a Valkyrie, You don't keep that. That's discarded, and one of your crew is instantly killed. You will also then move your token on the Valkyrie track up 1. Now, as you go in farther, you'll see that the points you can get are higher. Of course, you need more. Like here, you need 2 gold, 3 provisions, 5 crew in front of you, but you can get 12 points if you can get your strength up to 36. The game will end when one of 3 different victory conditions is triggered. If all but one fortress has been conquered, if every Valkyrie on the board is dead, or if the offering pile down here runs out. When that happens, everyone gets 1 final turn, and then you will get any final points. Gold is worth a point. Ore is worth a point. 2 cattle are worth points. You will get points based on how far you're up in the Valkyrie tracks. You'll see if you die a lot, for example, 7 times, you'll get 15 points. That's the most you can get. You'll get points depending on how high you are on the armor track. Some cards will give you bonus points, and you'll also add up all the offering tiles that you had. Like, for example, this warlord here simply gives you 2 points at the end of the game. Whoever has the most points is then the winner. Now, this game had the interesting timing to be kickstarted and then released around the same time as Blood Rage and Champions of Midgard, which are also both, those are both Euro games, although Blood Rage has more of a Mare Thrash feel to it, half of it.
More of a hybrid, yeah.
Champions of Midgard is also slightly hybrid. This one is more of a straight Euro, I thought.
Yeah.
With the occasional take that cards being played.
Occasionally.
Well, it depends on how people play the game, really.
True, yeah.
The thing about this game that really attracts me to it is the place 1 worker, take 1 worker thing. I believe this is the first game that has ever done that.
Well, I think I was thinking about that, and I think there have been games where you place a worker and do that action, and then take another one, but you don't do that second action. I think doing that second action of the one that you take, I think that's the new part.
guess. I don't ever remember taking a worker other than getting a worker for...
Right, getting a worker back or something to that effect, yeah.
But, you know, at first I was like, okay, that's kind of a gimmick, but it worked really well.
Oh, yeah.
It also lets you take 2 actions without... You don't actually block the other person.
You can't.
But you can kind of block them. It's not as vicious as maybe some worker placement. Sam's like, oh, I want that. Too bad I put a worker there.
Right.
Here, Sam's like, oh, you put the worker there? Great. Now I can take that action.
Yeah.
Although sometimes the order of which you want to take the actions matters.
I was just thinking. You can block people from taking their first order or their first action that they wanted to take by placing somebody there. And now if they still want to do it, they have to do it second. And that can mess up your entire turn.
And I think the game actually gets much more interesting once the other color workers start cycling through.
Right.
At the beginning, the first 4 turns of the game
4 or 5,
are almost like rote setup. I almost think they should have given you maybe a few things to allow you to...
You start with some resources so that you don't have to...
So that you could decide on your first turn to go out and conquer something. Because everyone is going to conquer something around the same time. Everyone's going to take money and supplies and put crew out and then go out and fight. And you have to do those things. There's not a lot of options at the beginning. As time goes by, it gets more varied.
There's probably an optimal way to do those first few turns. Jason would probably know exactly what to do and how to do it and all that other stuff.
No, he did do it.
Yeah, he did. He has played the game. I know that. But after a certain number of plays, he'll probably know exactly what you should do that first turn, the second turn, the third turn, in order to optimize your productivity or what have you, min-max it. But at the same time, you don't have to do any of that stuff.
Now, production-wise, the coins are amazing, metal coins. The artwork, I also really like the artwork.
Yes.
Even if I'm not sure some of these beards are physically possible.
I'm going to try.
Yeah, you're not. It would start getting in your food and you wouldn't be able to handle that anymore.
Specifically the mercenary, I'm going to try that one.
And the other pieces are okay. I do wish maybe they had made, if they were going to make the coins that nice, maybe not make the other piece nice. And the gray and black workers in lighting, you can tell the difference between the workers themselves, but on the board, if the lighting is bad, you can mix gray and black, I think. Unless they're on the same space, then it's obvious.
Right. Well, the one that I had the most trouble with, when they were next to each other, didn't have a problem. But when they were next to a white, the gray or the black next to the white was difficult.
Well, it's always the gray.
discern.
Once you figured it out, the black is never next to the white. It's always the gray.
Now, they are at different tiers. Like, there aren't any grays up at the very top, and then there aren't any blacks on the second tier.
Right.
So it's just something you have to remember. But at the same time, in the starting village, that's where it's the most problem, because you have those grays and whites that can be used for anything. You can also use blacks down there as well. So.
But overall, production value very good, and they actually got a lot of game in this box. Hopefully there's no expansion, because there ain't much room for it. I don't know if there's anything you did not like. There's one minor dislike I have of the game, and that is the Take That cards. Now, I don't actually dislike slamming other people. That's fun, right?
Yeah.
But this game has some cards which essentially hurt someone else without helping you. And that I'm not so keen on. If it's steal a resource from Sam, I'm cool with that.
Yeah.
If it's take a resource from everybody, because you're getting something you need and you're advancing your own position. But if it's make someone else lose an armor level, that's just a take that. And I'm not so keen on that. That almost feels like too much of a, I'm hitting you because, well, you know what, I had nothing else to do.
Well, you are all in competition. And making somebody lose the armor level could be the difference between 3, 4, sometimes 5 points that they will be able to get or not be able to get.
But in a 3 to 4 player game, not a 2-player game, 2-player game, that doesn't bother me at all.
Yeah.
In a 3 to 4 player game, you can almost king make possibly with some of these cards. And you got, I mean, that would be my only, that's actually the only thing that I wasn't a big fan of. Everything else is very solid. The game, even though it came out the same year as Champions of Midgard and Blood Rage, does not feel like those two.
Clash of the Titans.
The closest game that I would consider this to would be Stone Age. It has a similar thing where you go out, get resources, and then use those resources to accomplish missions or do things. And what sets this game apart are the cards. The cards that can be actions, but also you want to get a good combo of people in front of you.
Mechanism as well, having the 2 possibilities. Although that's been done before, but
it has been.
Yeah, you know that was cool.
But having your crew die is interesting because you have a special ability. And you're like, oh, I got to kill one of these guys. You have the perfect team.
Yes.
And those Valkyries, but then you get points for them dying, so that works too. It's a good balancing, and most of the time I think the scores have been pretty close, right? Yeah, ish.
Yeah, very. I mean, the first game I played, I was like way in last place, but that's just the way it is. I'm kind of iffy on first plays of games. I either do really, really well or I do really, really bad.
Yeah, he does. So, no middle ground for Sam.
But no, I mean, I don't think that there were very many. If I really can't remember anything that I disliked about the game. The only thing that possibly is that I thought it would be cooler if every spot that you raided, you had to kill somebody. You get points for that, of course, but every spot, I thought it would be better. I didn't like randomly putting out the Valkyrie pieces, but I'm okay with that. It doesn't really matter. I just thought it would be a little bit more.
I'm kind of with Sam. I also wish there was some more danger in attacking spots because you could deliberately pick spots where you never have anyone die. And yes, you can get, I think, 15 points from the Valkyries, which is a lot, but you can get those points back from other ways.
Yeah.
So I almost wish like someone died every battle, plus extra for the Valkyries.
Oh, okay. Well,
that might be interesting. I don't know. But either way, for me, overall, it's a very good package. It's one of those games that I'm always happy to see that I would not have known it was Kickstarter. Right. Unless I already knew that. But this is a game that could be on a shelf. Looks like a complete published game. It's a good package. It's a newer company, and I'm very eager to see their other games. For me, this gets a spear and a half up. I think it's a very solid Viking-themed game. But it has some good. It's a good medium weight one with a lot of options, and the card deck keeps it very interesting.
Cool. I'm going to give this. I'm actually going to give this 2 longboats up. I really enjoy this game a lot, and while it is more of a Euro style game, the level of combat and the level of interaction between the people, including the Take That cards, was spot on for me as far as that's concerned. It had the Euro element where you have to get your engine going, but at the same time it had all of the combat, a little bit of dice rolling. So everything that this package offered, I was in for. I was a little anxious at first, but after a couple of plays, I'm all in with Raiders of the North Sea. It's really nice. And another thing that I really liked about it, the it's not overproduced as far as the size of the box is concerned. Everything fits in here. Now, we were just saying earlier, expansions are going to probably be problematic. Not that I don't...
It doesn't actually need expansions, though. It's a straight game.
Right.
We just assume most games get expansions.
Exactly. Right.
But it's a fine thing on its own, and I recommend it.
Yeah, so do I. Highly recommend it.
Raiders of the North Sea.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.